Welcome to Podjunction Podcast, a show for podcasters using their podcast to grow their business. I'm Sadaf and with me is Matt Edmondson.
I didn't realize that intro was so funny.
It gets funnier every time.
Wow, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have you. Great to be with you today. How are we doing?
We're doing very well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that why you've got a Kleenex?
Yes.
She just said to me before
Very
we
well.
hit the record button, can you hand me a Kleenex? I'm like, yeah. So we're just hoping and praying that Matt doesn't get any kind of cold virus.
Being prepared.
He's about to take a month off. Hopefully not recovering.
All right. So in this episode, we are going to be looking at Peter Murphy Lewis's fourth and final segment.
Yeah.
And
Peter, the legend.
Yes. And in it, he's going to be talking about strategies for using a podcast to grow your business. And particularly, you're going to learn how to create content that resonates and is easily accessible.
That wasn't easy to say.
No, it wasn't. It didn't quite come out. But I got there.
You did. You kept going. I love that.
Second, how to showcase your credibility and value. And finally, how to get creative with repurposing content.
How to get that easy? That was the last one.
Yes.
That was the easy one.
That was the easy one.
Yeah, good. Well, don't forget, keeping going.
Thank you.
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to this.
Yeah, it'll be another good one from Peter.
Yeah, Peter's a legend, isn't he? Mm-hmm. So the way this is going to work, if you're new to the show, by the way, a very warm welcome to you. The way this works is we play a clip from an interview. Sadaf and I then come back, chat about that clip. And actually, because this is the fourth one, the full interview with Peter goes live
Friday.
After this one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you enjoyed these last 4 episodes with Peter, then check out the full interview. That'll be made live on the Podjunction podcast on Friday, which if you're listening to this anytime after then the date comes out, it might
This
have
comes
been
out
Friday
on a Tuesday.
Okay.
You're listening to this on a Tuesday.
Assuming you're not listening to it on a Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you've been, waiting for this to come out. That's what I'm going on.
Dun, dun, dun. It's here, the moment I've been waiting for. Yes! Been hitting refresh like for the last 2 days on my phone.
Yes.
And it's finally here, episode 4 with Peter. So yeah, in just a couple of days' time, you will be able to listen to the full interview with Peter Murphy Lewis as well, because it's been absolutely brilliant. So anyway, all of that said, let's roll VT.
Let's roll VT.
And here's the clip.
You've introduced podcasting into a less digital industry such as healthcare. So what strategies do you use then to make your podcast accessible to these audiences?
That's a good question, and that took me a while to figure out. I think that there's a couple different ways that we have had success. The first one is the first one is you can see my son behind me.
I love it.
The first one is taking a landing page that has a keyword in it that our cold prospects or our cold email and recipients will immediately identify with, so that they'll want to click on it. Go back to healthcare. So let's say it's set up that you're in the state of Michigan and I'm going to send you a cold email. The likelihood of you opening and clicking on something is slim to none if I can't put into the URL something that makes you feel like, oh, this is interesting. The person knows who I am. In my case, what I did was I created a landing page for every convention in the state of Michigan. And then I would send in that email to you. It would say, the company I worked for was Experience Care. So I would put experience.care/2024 Michigan Healthcare Association. And I would send that to you. And you're going to click on it because 1, it's this year. 2, it's a convention that you go to. 3, it's the state that you live in. You go to that, and then right on the landing page, I say, we're coming to visit you, and we want to interview you. Immediately, they know podcast. They trust it. Podcast already, as a genre, make sense to people.
Yeah.
They might not know how to use it yet, but I put a very fast autoplay link in there from YouTube that they'll know right away, oh, this person has spoken to people I know, spoken to people I trust, spoken to people I admire. And then immediately in the landing page, we say what else I do. So I'm coming as a keynote speaker, or we do this software, or this is the solution. So they trust us because they see us. They don't have to go click and subscribe to something on Spotify that they don't know, right? Especially in that industry. And then they will see what else we offer as a solution. So it connects our company brand, what we sell as a solution to their pain point, with the podcast. The second thing that we did we would take my most successful webinars, or not webinars, we did most of my successful public speaking events. So I taught people how to use LinkedIn in healthcare. And I taught people how to use the book 5 Languages of Love to motivate their employees and find staffing. And I also taught people how to use LinkedIn to find entry-level certified nurses aides from community colleges. And what we would do is we would take the best keynote speaking programs that I did, and then we would convert those into shorter versions of 15 or 20 minutes on LinkedIn. So I would make 2 to 3 events every single month on LinkedIn and bring that over. And then in that LinkedIn, we would be like, hey, you're only seeing a 20-minute version of all the things that we teach throughout the year. Wait till you listen to this podcast that has, thousands and thousands of people listen to it. It's your peers, and they're teaching you how they've solved their problems. So instead of this guy, Peter, that you've never heard of, that doesn't know much about your industry, why don't you go listen to the hundreds of peers that you already know who explain how they've solved problems? So because I was trying to break into an industry where nobody listened to a podcast, nobody, right? Like the average thought leader, the average customer in my industry was 50 years old. They were, if they were using Spotify, it was because they were listening to Leonard Skinner, right? They didn't know how to subscribe to a podcast yet.
Yeah. If that got you curious and you want to catch the full episode, be sure to subscribe to the show. We've got plenty more great conversations coming up.
So, welcome back. It's really, I was thinking, as Peter was talking, what's really interesting having Peter do the podcast, the interview, is first and foremost, he is a marketeer. And when a marketeer approaches podcasting, there seems to be a different approach than the standard approach, if that makes sense. So the sort of the normal default of, I'm going to go do podcasting, I'm going to do a podcast, however that is, whether it's an interview, whether it's a solo, whether it's a panel, and I'm just going to throw it out on social media. I'm going to build it and they will come kind of mentality. And I'll create reels and clips and I'll throw them on there. The thing I like about what this guy does is he goes, well, that doesn't actually work that well. And so he has all of these different ways and strategies which he's brought in from marketing.
Yeah.
And so when he was talking about creating a landing page with a relevant URL, well, this is the e-commerce playbook. This is, do you know what I mean? This is marketing 101. You create an ad, you send that ad to a specific landing page which resonates and connects with the ad. All he's done is he's substituted ad for an email.
Yeah.
So he's done cold email, which in effect is like an ad, but he's made that super relevant. He put a relevant, I love the URL idea, which we'll come back to, and he creates a landing page around it. I thought was super smart. Yeah. And so then he's getting all kinds of people wanting to come onto his show and, know about his podcast even before he's gone to events. I'm like,
it's genius.
It is fundamentally genius. And I love this because he is using clear marketing strategy to help grow, to hack his podcast. Yeah. And he's not doing it the standard way. He's using other methodology, which we know works over in e-com, for example. And he's bringing it over to the healthcare industry podcast, which I just think, good on you, man. I find it super inspiring. I really do. And I think the way he's thought about this and done this differently, I'm totally listening to the full interview on this one. Because
you should. It is good.
I think it'll just be good to go over it and over it and over again. Yeah. And by the way, if you're not using Snipped, SNIPD, as your podcast player, I can strongly recommend this because do you know what Snipped is? Have I
Yes.
told you about this?
Yes,
This is where you listen to a podcast, and if somebody says something which you found super interesting, you just click the create snip button, and the AI will transcribe that section of the clip and then send it to you. So it's like highlighting in a book. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, right. And then you get all these notes sent to you, and you just, this is brilliant. And then you can put it in, you know, whatever your second brain is if you do that kind of thing. For me, it's craft, but it's just great. Anyway, all of that aside, I'm going to be snipping quite rapidly his full interview, no doubt.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's my introduction to post conversation
Love
with
it.
Peter.
Love it. But to comment on what you just said, I think
Love it, but stop talking.
I think it's an interesting point actually that you raised, because podcasting, you kind of look at it as a new mode of communication, right? A new mode of marketing. And so you think you have to apply all these different and new ways of distribution and repurposing and all that kind of stuff. But actually what Peter has spoken about, and what you've raised as well, that it's actually using the same old tried and tested methods and just making it applicable to something that is new and different.
Yeah, very much. He's applied the mind of a marketeer, I think, to podcasting, and not many people do that. And I don't think many people do that well. And one of the things, I think, if you start like a podcast, right? If you're listening to the show and you're thinking, I'm going to start a podcast because podcasting just seems, you know, genius. Peter made it work. Matt and Sadaf somehow have made it work. Therefore, anybody can make it work. But it's one of those where I think if you start a podcast, that in itself feels really new. It feels really cutting edge. It feels like very on trend. It feels like I am pushing the boundaries. You know, I'm out the box kind of thing. But then the way to grow that podcast and market that podcast, because the podcast itself is new, we just use whatever everybody else is doing in the podcast industry, because we think that's the thing to do, because we're new to it, right? And what Peter did, I think, is he was new to podcasting, but he looked at it and went, I think we could do this differently. And I think we could hack it a little bit. And so, the strategy around the landing page, so using conferences. So here's my takeaway from this, right? Sub Summit is something that I've got back from recently, and that I've been invited to go back to in 2025, right? Whether that actually happens and whether they follow up on that invite is an entirely different matter. They may change their mind at some point. But let's assume I'm going to go back, right? So what I've done in the different conferences to meet different people is I've tried different things. Some things have worked well, some things haven't worked well. If I take what Peter has said, and correct me if I'm wrong here, the way I've understood this is we create a landing page, e-commerce podcast /2025 /Sub Summit.
Okay.
Right? I could include Dallas in there because I think it'll be in Dallas. That's the URL, which takes you to a landing page. On that landing page, it's like, hey, I'm going to be at Sub Summit, and I could play like the podcast that we recorded from previous Sub Summit visits. Could talk a bit about who I am. Just like, if you're on this page, then we would love to talk to you at Sub Summit, right? Then take that landing page, find out who all the other speakers are, who all the other brands are that I want to meet, send them an email or a LinkedIn message to that landing page, which brings all of that, oh, Matt's a podcaster, he's been around, et cetera, and then arrange to meet a whole bunch of people through that. Do you see what I mean? I think it would be a really interesting thing to do. The other thing, which I've been toying around with, just completely sidestepping everything here, speaking of Sub Summit, is I don't think I wonder what it would be like. Sub Summit is really good because they have a podcasting studio, right? They have this sort of live studio setup whereby they have different podcasters come and do podcasts from, and you put chairs out and people can watch. I almost wonder what it would be like to actually lease a space and set up my own podcast studio there and spend all day, every day recording podcasts with people at the show, and whether that would be a sensible way to do it. I think I would be entirely knackered.
Yes, you would.
I think if it was a podcast like this, it might make more sense because we could alternate. Do you know what I mean?
But what would be the benefit of that?
I think podcasting is a great way to meet people. And so you could totally do that, have some great conversations with people at the show, get them there, record it live. But yeah.
I guess my question is, recording it live or recording it as you do now, what difference would that make?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like I say, I've not really thought it through. Because at the moment we get at the show, we meet a lot of people that invite them to be guests on the show, don't we?
Yeah.
And we get to follow up with those guys and record afterwards, which is great. I wonder whether there's a benefit to doing it live. I don't know. I'm not suggesting I would do this at Sub Summit because I think it's the wrong demographic for who we're trying to reach in some respects. But maybe there's a show in the UK we could think about. Like if we went to the podcasting show and did like something there where we just recorded. I think people actually do that around the podcasting show, don't they? They have these little studio setups
Yeah, they did,
you can go and be a guest on the podcast. But yeah, just a thought. Anyway, back to what Peter was talking about.
Yes, back to what Peter was talking about. I think for me, listening to what he was saying, it's very much, as we were saying, the tried and tested methods of marketing. It is knowing your audience, knowing who the people are that you're trying to reach. And I think that's, in essence, like the most important, isn't it? Because like all this, what he's talking about as far as targeting your content, making it accessible, you need to know who it is. Showing that you've got value to bring and that you're credible. Again, you got to know who that is. How to repurpose content to people who are going to actually, who's going to resonate with, again, got to know who it is.
Knowing your audience is critical, isn't it? Knowing who you're going after. Which again, once you tailor that landing page and URL to, which is what he's showing, isn't it? It's like, I know this person is going to be interested in this town with this conference. So I'm going to make all of this relevant for that and just really target people there. I mean, it's like a sniper level kind of approach to marketing. I mean, you are honing in on a specific target rather than the shotgun approach, the sort of the scattergun. But I think it's super clever. I think it is genuinely super clever. And so I do like that. And I think, actually, we've talked about this before on the show, haven't we, about different landing pages for different things that we do with the podcast. And I wonder actually whether creating more specific landing pages is actually going to help our cause. So, for example, when we reach out to people, I don't know, you tell me what you think, but when we reach out to people, say on LinkedIn, if they are a specific industry, for example, would there be a benefit of creating a landing page which is more specifically tied to people that we have spoken to in that industry?
Possibly.
Don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's a question for Peter, isn't it?
Yeah, Peter, just tell us the answer, Peter. Just tell us what to do. In fact, Peter, just come and host this show.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's an interesting one, isn't it? The understanding the target market and then creating a landing page for them. Even on your podcast makes sense. And not just sending them generic links to Spotify, which make no sense. I think that's such a really interesting viewpoint he's put there on the magic of creating a really relevant URL, which is just a website link to the landing page. So send them to a specific page which has more about you and the podcast with a relevant URL rather than spotify.com/AB962, which makes no sense. You don't really know what you're clicking. I think that's super smart. Super smart. I think we'd definitely be using that. The other thing that I thought was good was he obviously uses LinkedIn well. I'm gonna seriously look at what he's doing on LinkedIn. So I'm really intrigued to see what he talked about, what that looks like on a day-to-day basis.
I've subscribed to his newsletter now.
Oh, are you you're a Peter Murphy Lewis fan now? Okay, if you want to join the PML fan club, talk to Sadaf. So yeah, I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get his newsletter but I also want to see some of the posts and stuff. Like he was talking about creating short form content from some of his best webinars to then connect people back in. I'm curious to see how he runs that process. Yeah, definitely. But it was cute how he had his kid interrupting.
Yeah, I like that.
It works well when your kids it's always funny when you interview podcast guests and they get interrupted by, a kid or a family or a noise or something. It bothers them way more than it bothers me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or a dog jumps up or something like that. They're like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Do we need to cut that out?" I'm like, "No, not at all. That's awesome." I mean, that's totally authentic, isn't it? In so many ways.
Yeah.
And I think that shows personality out. But it was good to see. It was nice to see, actually. It was lovely. Yeah. Anything else in your notes? You're using blue pen today. That's confused me. Normally it's green.
Keeping you on your toes, Matt.
If you're not a regular to the show, you'll have no idea what we're talking about.
So he mentioned something about
Just showing the camera, Sadaf's pen. It's colour options.
He talked about doing the 5 love languages
With clients.
And
using, he got super niche, like using the 5 love languages on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
With clients.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to know how that worked. And
yeah. That's a really fascinating. Did you know what the 5 love languages are?
Quality time, gifts. That's it.
Acts of service. Words of affirmation. And we had quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, acts of service. Everyone's screaming at the podcast radio telling me what the 5th one is because it's obvious and it's totally slipped my mind.
I only got as far as 2, so you're okay.
Oh, physical touch.
Yes.
There we go.
That's the one.
The one that's top of every man's list. How could I forget that one? But it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think the concept of the 5. Were you in that conversation where there was? Was it with you? We were having this conversation where actually there's probably more than 5, and we were debating whether.
No, I wasn't in that.
We were debating whether effort was a love language. Someone was saying that they thought effort was a love language. That actually, the more effort someone put into something, regardless of what it was, whether it was a gift, whether it was, quality time or whatever, they thought that was its own love language. And I had, mixed reservations about that. I'm not saying that was my idea at all. But it is this interesting idea that people communicate. If you don't know what it is, this is not a marriage podcast, by the way. If you don't know what it is, this is where people communicate what matters most to them as their love language, right?
Yeah.
So for some people, that's physical touch. For some people, it's quality time. So Sharon, for example, my wife, quality time, straight up the list, right? And so I know to communicate how much I love my wife, I need to spend quality time with her. Now, whether quality time is high up on my list or not is irrelevant. I just need to know it's top of her list and make allowances for that, right? So understanding how different people communicate and what matters most to them comes back to what you said, know your customer. But it's a really interesting idea to take something commonly known as the 5 languages of love, which is a great book if you've not read it, by the way, especially if you're in a relationship, just putting that out there. But taking that concept and applying it to your clients.
It's really interesting.
I would love to know how that works.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, how do you... I just, and rightly or wrongly, I just have visions of him going to his clients and going, right, so what's your top love language, bud? Are you a physical touch kind of guy? Are you, gifts kind of guy? What do we need to do here? It's like, which is probably why I need to understand how he uses LinkedIn to find that information out to help better communicate to his clients. Very NLP, very interesting stuff. So yeah, do you know how he does it? Have you seen?
I do not know. I wanted to ask, and then the conversation went on, and
you
back
forgot
to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Peter Murphy Lewis Part 2.
Yeah. How do you do this?
What is that all about?
Yeah.
Because that would be a really interesting thing to do when it comes to guests on the show. Now there is a technique in NLP, in neuro-linguistic programming, where you understand quite quick. If you're talking to somebody, you can listen to the language they use, mirror that language, and it puts them more at ease.
Yeah.
Right? So if you say to somebody, what do you think about It's 2024. What do you think? I was listening to a podcast about the US elections coming up, right? We've had the ones in Britain, we've got the US elections coming up. What do you think about the US elections? And somebody might say, well, I kind of feel a little bit anxious about it, or I see that there's going to be chaos, or, do you know what I mean? I know. And so it's using language like, if they say, well, I kind of feel a little bit anxious, they're more feeling kind of people. Mm-hmm. So you would use language more along that line. Mm-hmm. If they say, well, I see it's going to ... then they're quite visual people.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to use visual language. And so there are some things that you can do, which in effect is NLP and the 5 languages of love. I don't know if they're connected or not, but there are some similarities in my very uneducated mind. And I'm really sorry, Dr. Chapman, if I've just gone and screwed that right up. But I think it's a really interesting idea, isn't it? This people communicate in different ways, understand how they communicate and connect with that.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know how he does that on LinkedIn. It's like, that sounds like magic. That sounds like David Blaine type stuff that he's doing. But I'm sure he's hacked something and figured something out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that would be quite interesting.
It's working.
Out of curiosity, what's your top love language?
Quality time.
Second one?
Gifts. No, I'm kidding. Those are the two that I remember.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe that's why. I'm going to call Jeff.
Acts of service, I think.
Yeah?
Acts of service.
You can't have all of them.
Well, I want all of them.
Yeah, I'm equally divided between all 5. Yes. I mean, they all sound good, don't they? In so many ways, it's like, why would I not like any of them? It is what it is. Anything else in your notes?
No.
No. What's coming up next?
Next week, we have a new guest. We will be introducing a new guest.
Code for, we don't know what guest we're going to bring next week.
Jared Krause. That's who it is.
Okay.
It's Jared Krause. Sorry for that. I just had to think.
Have you had your coffee yet this morning?
I have.
Have you? Yes. What are you drinking there?
I'm drinking hot water.
Okay. Wow. Is there no tea in it? No coffee?
No, nothing in
water?
it. Just hot water.
Okay.
Yes.
Jared's a cool dude.
Yes.
When I had him on the podcast, he was in, I want to say Tahiti or somewhere like uber kind of tropical, because he's a surfer guy.
Yeah.
And he runs his business in such a way that he follows the waves.
Yes.
And so whenever you talk to him, he's in a different part of the world, on the beach, in some hut somewhere, just living his best life, just surfing the waves. And you're kind of like, I've got a lot of respect for that.
Yeah,
really.
no, that's cool.
And he's just a top, like I've been on his podcast, he's been on my podcast. So we've done that sort of podcast exchange thing, and it was super cool. Really great guy. I'm looking for, you're going to enjoy Jared. Is a top bloke. Is a top bloke. Where did you interview him?
Where?
Yeah, as in, where was he?
Oh, he was home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In Australia?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting one to see. So I just wondered if it was different. But yeah, he's a super cool dude. So you're going to definitely want to follow him, especially if you like surfing. How do you do surfing and podcasting at the same time? And run a business. It'd be a really interesting idea. But I guess that's a beautiful thing about podcasting. You can do it from anywhere in the world, right? Anywhere in the world. Anyway, all of that said, so we've got Jared coming up, so make sure you stay connected with us for that. Obviously, hit the like, subscribe, and all of that sort of good stuff button to stay connected with the show. As I said, Peter's full-length episode will be coming out in a few days' time, and you are not going to want to miss it. There's no doubt about that in my mind. If you haven't done so already, check out the Podjunction website, see what kind of good stuff we do, especially if you're thinking about setting up a podcast. It'd be great to see you over there. We do have services for companies. If this is something that you're interested in, we have quite a unique methodology. I say unique. Is it unique?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's go with yes. We have our methodology. It seems to work for us. So we can help you with that. If that's something of interest, go check out podjunction.com. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Is there anything else from you, by the way? No. Okay, good. Well, we will see you next time. That's it from us. Bye for now.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Podjunction, where business meets podcasting. If you've enjoyed the insights from this episode and want to grab the show links, head over to podjunction.com. And while you're there, we'd love for you to sign up to the newsletter too. Whether you listen while on the go or in a quiet moment, thank you for letting us be a part of your day. Remember, every episode is a chance to gain insights and to transform your podcasting journey. So keep tuning in, keep learning, and until next time, happy podcasting.